Hey everybody, it's Dylan again, and I think I spent way longer messing with the settings on this camera than I will talking. So it's this is gonna be my 2.5 year Auntie update. You have to bear with me because it's still a little weird looking at myself talking to you. um, it's just funny. There's not really too many physical changes I think that are from the T. Um, One of the big things I've noticed in the last couple months is that I have gained a lot of weight, but that is probably due to the fact that I've been working out a lot more, um, and sort of doing a lot more intense things. And then I've also been eating, which, when you don't have a very steady income, that's not possible. But I live with my parents now, and I'm always being fed, thank God. Um, but when I finally have a video where you can see that I have real facial hair and not the stuff that I glue on my face half the time. So, with 2.5 years, it's weird for me because I thought that I would never get here. I remember seeing the videos of people when I was pre-T and first starting out and looking at the changes they had gotten in the 2.5 years, and it just didn't even seem like it would ever happen. I was so focused on what was happening to me in that present moment that I couldn't even imagine what it would be like this far down the road. Although, to be fair, I don't think I ever could have predicted that I would be in this position back in the place where I grew up. And not to say that I would have wanted to be here, but I'll get to kind of where I'm feeling on that right now. It's been rough being back here, nonetheless. I've been dealing with a lot of issues with depression and anxiety for a really long time now, and it was really bad in December. Like I said, most of you kind of know if you've been following what happened, and I was getting better for a little while, and I was on meds, and things were going great. But somewhere after, maybe a month after I got back, I ran out, of course, and there's nobody around here that can really help out with that. And there's also nobody around here that can help out with my teeth. So I think the closest doctor is in Philly, which is a little bit over 2 hours away. I'm a little freaked out about that, but I won't worry about that right now. I think some of the biggest challenges that I've been facing with being so depressed and feeling so, I don't know, useless and like I'm going nowhere is that I don't really have a set idea of what I want to do with my life, and I don't know if I want to have a set idea of something I want to do for the rest of my life because that's scary sounding. But I know a lot of things I'm kind of interested in, a lot of the options I do have. I just don't want to, excuse me, be pressured into making a decision based upon like the shitty circumstances that I'm in. I want to know that I'd make that same sort of decision if I were feeling good about my life. And I want to be in a place where I can feel good about my life before I make a decision like that. It kind of sucks that I'm not able to really progress at all. So I've sort of been coming to terms with a realization that might have helped in my transition, and it's kind of helping me now a little bit, but it's hard to sort of focus on that even still. The idea that there's no part of your life at all should be treated as if it's a means to some end, that every stage of your life is important in itself and you should live that stage to its fullest, rather than, let's say, looking forward to some other part of your life and not focusing on what you need to do right now. For example, a lot of people, you go to college thinking that it's a means to an end, that you're going to get this degree, and that helps you, but there are so many other more important things that you need to figure out in college, and the experience itself is something you need to relish and really engage in because it will be over. And that's a good thing to remember about your transition too. That each part of it is an important part. It's a process, and you're not gonna get to that 2 or 5 or 10 year stage like at the beginning. Maybe that's what you want to get to. Maybe that's what your desire is, but it's important to go through all those other stages and really enjoy them. The stage of like awkwardness, even, or your voice cracking, and just kind of have fun with it and make it an important part of your life. Like, this is my now. This is my reality, and I should enjoy this as much as I'll enjoy the place I want to be. Why can't you just make now the place you want to be? And it's not easy. It sucks. But I think it might help if I try to personify that a little bit more. Yeah, and I think another big issue I've been having is that in this area, I'm in a very, very small town now, and there are really no other trans people here. And there's no visible trans community, and even the gay community is rather small, and everyone knows each other, more so even than in Pittsburgh. So there's really only one place for people to go, and I'm not really the type of person that likes to go out to the bar every night. I don't know, I feel like there's a huge disconnect because I'm so immersed in this heteronormativity now, and I kind of had a choice before. I could shield myself from it and not really have to deal with it. And now, I don't know, I got so comfortable being in a place where nothing had to be explained. I said to I think I wrote this down the other day, when you have to, it's like teaching the rules of a game to somebody while you're trying to play the game. There's no flow, there's no rhythm. You can't just, like, say, enjoy playing a game of basketball because you always have to stop and explain to somebody what's going on. So I always feel like I'm on guard, or that I'm supposed to be this education machine like 100% of the time. It's really not what I want to do all the time. I kind of want to just be in a group of people that get it and not have to say anything. And I miss that. But again, this is kind of flowing much better than I thought it would. I've also noticed that in Pittsburgh, from the last couple times I've visited, I don't get that feeling anymore. A lot of people aren't too happy with me for some choices that I've made, and I'm sure I could say the same about them, but I don't really feel that sense of welcome anymore. I sort of feel like an outsider, and I'm not the first person that will say that the community's definitely changed in the last year or so, and that I don't feel like I should go back. I was miserable there near the end, and I'd be miserable going back. The only thing that would be drawing me back is that it would be safe and comfortable, and I wouldn't have to learn anything new. But I'd still be alone and miserable. And it sucks, losing friends and realizing that some of the people who are the most important people in your life, you'll never see them again, probably. And it's tough to deal with that. It was such a formative part of my life, and that city means a lot to me. I really do consider that the city I grew up in a way. But my goal is sort of to move away from the place I am now to Washington, D.C. The biggest issues I'm having now are money, and, well, mostly money. And in order to actually do that, or the Annapolis area, or even Northern Virginia, is that I need a roommate, or several, to help defer those costs. So if you know anybody, that'd be great. I don't even know. I have a lot of stuff going through my head right now, and looking at that notebook's not even going to matter. My transition right now feels like it's the only thing in my life. Like, that's the constant. I don't have to really worry about that. It's the normal stuff that's getting to me, the feeling lonely and isolated and not really having a good handle on the depression and anxiety, not really being around people who get it, you know. It's maybe a bit more complicated for me to have to try to explain all of this because of the Asperger's, and then trying to uproot myself again and move to a new city, and wondering if people will also be able to deal with that in addition to the trans things. So it's only one of many fears that I have. I guess to stop and pause, I'd be a little bit more comfortable staying where I am right now for a little bit longer if I weren't absolutely terrified of the fact that my brother might be coming home this January. My brother's in prison. He's been there for 7.5 years or so, which would be in January, and he pretty much hates me. We used to be really close, and he did not accept my transition very well at all. So we don't really talk anymore, and I don't know how I'd feel about living in the same place with him. And then I don't know. I guess I did learn that I need my own space, and I want to be in control of things in my own life. In the time that I lived in Pittsburgh, it's very hard to live with my parents now as much as I love them. So I apologize if this was all scatterbrained, and I didn't really answer or say anything that's completely profound. But it's kind of the way my life is right now. It's a complete mess. It's scatterbrained, and I'm trying to make it fit and get some sort of routine and get things going. But I don't know. I don't feel like I'm in a stable position at all. I don't know if I don't know when that's going to happen for me. But I do know that when I visited DC to perform down there, I felt that sense of community. I felt like it was the right thing, and I didn't want to come home. I felt like people really cared, and they barely even knew me. Part of me wants to believe the same thing that I always did, and convince myself that once people do get to know me, they'll hate me. But I can't continue to think like that. I could really use some help, and I know that, and I don't know how to get it. I'm scared for my own mental well-being and the rest of my life. I'm probably going to start crying now, so I'm going to stop. But thanks for listening to me bitch and rant a little bit, and this is where I'm at 2.5 years.